Now, you may have noticed, but the government has spent billions upon billions of dollars to combat this COVID crisis. It's been throwing the cash around like a lolly scramble. It needs to for the economy, as we all know. But there is no such thing as a free lunch, my mum used to say. So how and when will the spending catch up with us? New Zealand Initiative's Bryce Wilkinson has been writing a report about this. The report is out this morning. Bryce, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
When are the chickens going to come home to roost? One of my favourite cliches. When are they going to crow? How are we going to pay for this?
Well, the government will have, in its budget 2020, next month, will have to put out its 3-year, 5-year plan for how it's going to fund the big expenditures it's doing. And under the Fiscal Responsibility Act, which is now in the Public Finance Act, it's required to show how you return the public debt to prudent levels. And usually that means having to run offsetting surpluses which match the deficit. So the government is quite rightly, and we're not arguing with this or criticising it, spending quite freely now in this crisis and running deficits to do that. The financing of those deficits is very important. They need to be prudently financed. And then there needs to be a plan for getting public debt down again in time for the next crisis, because things never go up and always stay up.
Yeah, I just saw, just when you mentioned that, another pandemic will just wipe us out financially.
Well, hopefully we'll have 5 or 10 years window. The last one we had was the SARS one, which was quite a long time ago. So that's the important thing, of getting the prudent debt right after one crisis is over, so that you're ready for the next one.
Look, I'm not an economics expert, but I've been studying your report, so forgive me if I'm wrong, but we can offer government bonds as a way to raise money, and then once we've done that, we borrow from the central bank. And you note that a lot of countries that have borrowed from the central bank previously have not stopped the borrowing. Once they've turned the tap on, it's hard to turn the tap off.
Yes, that's right. The borrowing from the central bank gives the impression that it's a free lunch, because you're just creating money which is sitting around in the system. And people are asking me as an economist, well, who's actually going to be paying for this? If government gives money to someone, it's not creating any more national income in doing that. It's just taking from one group and giving to another. So who is that group is the big question. And that's why too much borrowing from the central bank is dangerous and needs to be unwound. And what we've seen internationally is that it hasn't been unwound, and that's creating bigger problems. Each successive crisis creates a bigger problem than the last one, and more trillions of dollars have to be spent on it, and that's obviously unsustainable.
Is the end result of that a Greece? A country that goes bankrupt?
The end result of that keeps going. We've had asset price inflation and house price inflation. You can get wage and price inflation. And eventually the debts get so high that the government can't service them. So the best thing to do is to what's called rescheduling, but inflation is a real worry. We don't face that problem in New Zealand. We've got a good Reserve Bank Act. We've got good mechanisms with the Reserve Bank responsible for making sure inflation doesn't get away. But if the debt gets too high, future politicians won't let that stop them. They'll have to deal with the problem, and it will be ugly.
So how do we pay this money off, Bryce? Because I figure the government's not going to get a lot more revenue because tourism's going to be way down, like the economy's going to be smaller. Are we going to have to cut our cloth, as they say?
Yes, we are. And decisions are going to have to be a lot tougher. Decisions on New Zealand superannuation, the age of eligibility, has been sort of parklined for 1 or 2 decades. It's been on the table, but governments haven't felt they had to do that. Things like contributions to the New Zealand Super Fund, all those things, the decisions we're taking today about the size of the money we're putting in have implications for how tough decisions like that have to be 2 or 3 years out.
Wise words. Thank you, Dr. Bryce Wilkinson from the New Zealand Initiative. That's one of New Zealand's leading think tanks. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you very much.